What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome to another video. For those who know me, for those who don't, I am Radiant, I focus on build crafting. So, for this video I want to talk about warlocks, and I want to talk about some of the builds you should be using for Edge of Fate. Edge of Fate drops in pretty much 24 hours, or whenever the hell you're watching this. But I want to be as, complacent and break down as much as I can in an easy term for you guys. So these warlock builds are just going to be what you should be utilizing and how you should be utilizing the stats, similar to the Titan and Hunter ones I have put out already. The API may be down while this video is out, so do bear with. I can't really control that, but again, these builds are primarily set with obviously what is changing, what is obviously new. So I hope you guys do enjoy, I hope they help out. Consider liking and subscribing, it helps the channel grow, and I'm always trying to put out more content for you guys as players to obviously use different builds and try new things. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first build is actually one of my more favorable ones. This is going back to basics. We're going to be using Polaris Lance with Well of Radiance. You can change Well of Radiance for Song of Flame with Starfire Protocol. This build is going to allow you to use the old Starfire meta. Well, what you should be using is Healing Rift, Burst Glide, Incinerator Snap can be changed if you want, and Fusion Grenade. For some reason I have the wrong grenade on this class. Touch of Flame, Helion, Ember of Benevolence, Ember of Eruption, Ember of Blistering, and Ember of Char. These should be your aspects and fragments. Helion will keep on obviously triggering more and more Scorch with the Helion itself. Touch of Flame will enhance obviously your grenades. Pairing this with Fusion, it allows it to obviously explode twice, and it causes a chunk of Scorch. The whole aspects and fragments around this are designed to trigger more Scorch as well as ignite on kill faster. So when you are getting these kills and they are just obviously erupting, you are getting energy back towards your grenade, so you get it more frequently. I would highly recommend utilizing this Polaris, as Polaris is going to be really dominant throughout the season. And I know some people may say, I don't want to use Polaris, it's boring as fuck. But this build is going to be dominant with or without Polaris. Anything that has Scorch is going to be extremely broken with this build. Next build is actually one of my more favorable from last few seasons actually, and that is using the class item for warlocks, and that is going to have either Necrotics, Assassin with Symphotheps. If you don't want that, you can use Hoyle, but I like these two combinations better due to the fact that Necrotics can obviously chain poison across the targets, and Assassin can make you invisible. So you either have two different variations of style of play, or you can just chuck on Hoyle like a lot of people do in general. Otherwise, we're using Song of Flame again, as Song of Flame does pair with Necrotics. Pairing this with Healing Rift, Burst Glide, Arcane Needle, so you have 3, Storm Nade. Doesn't really matter what your nade is. I'd actually recommend chucking on the Healing Nade just to play that safeguard if you would like, but again, that is your choice. Feed the Void and Lightning Surge are going to be your aspects. With this case here, I actually don't have the 5th aspect put on, but I would recommend putting on something that is going to help you. So again, you can use whatever. I just forgot that this aspect change actually doesn't affect Lightning Surge, so that's on me. But currently we're using Facet of Purpose, Balance, Courage, and Protection. This will allow us to take damage, we'll be able to heal every time we pick up an orb. That was actually the one that I was meant to say. You should have Generosity on here, because when you transcend, you will be creating orbs for days. And this paired with obviously Purpose and Protection, you get a damage resistant for just being enclosed, you just get heals with being on obviously a solo subclass. It's a very dominant way to play a safety net, as well as also kill anything in your path with just slide slam tactics. Not gonna lie, this is actually more fun on a warlock than playing as a Titan or a Hunter. I don't know why, it just feels that way. The next build is probably one of the ones that may get me in trouble, but Geomags. Geomags is still going to be dominant, it's not going to have as much of a place, but in terms of Arc, if you build with Arc in the most corrective ways, you can play a way that is going to still be dominant and still be able to get constant supers, constant kills, and easy time. You're not going to get all this healing like we did this season, but we're going to get some more buffs coming to obviously damage outputs. So we're going to be utilizing Geomags, we're going to pair this with Thunderlord and obviously a weapon like the Psycho Jump. In this case, we could have better weapons, we don't know. But these obviously give you a lot of bolt charge depending on your perk pulling for them. My one has Rolling Storm, so that's obviously my main go-to here. Otherwise, Chaos Reach is a must because we're pairing it with Geomags, Healing Rift, Burst Glide, Ball Lightning so you don't get killed point blank range, Pulse Grenade, we're using Ionic Sentry and Electrostatic Mine. Electrostatic Mine allows your arc abilities obviously to create, when killing enemies, to create jolts and all sorts of electronic obviously interference which give you Ionic Traces. This is the whole gimmick around there. Pair that with Ionic Sentry, where those Ionic Traces will give you that Sentry, you can be able to throw out constant sentries. Pairing this with the fragments Spark of Resistance, Spark of Ion, Spark of Discharge, and Spark of Shock. Again, this just allows constant jolt and constant electronic trace, Ionic Traces coming around to you, so you will always have uptime for both your Super as well as obviously Ionic Sentry. And again, this is a build that is great for a lot of endgame content as it stuns 2 variations of champions and gives you a really strong build in terms of spamming super and obviously abilities themselves. Lucky last, this is my favorite build and I always love using this, Getaway Warlock. So a lot of people are probably now going to be like, ah, fuck, Getaway's not going to be as good. Realistically, just cut that one fragment off and you'll be fine. So similar to Necrotics, we're literally using a simple setup here. We're going to be on a Soul Super, paired with Healing Rift, Burst Glide, Arcane Needle, Stormnade. We're going to need Stormnade for this. Bleak Watcher instead of Lightning Surge. Bleak Watcher. Pair that with Feed the Void, and then we'll go with Facet of Courage, Facet of Balance, Facet of Protection, and Facet of Purpose. This case, I think a lot of people don't understand what Facet of Balance does, and you're probably thinking, why the fuck are you using Balance? Balance, if you get kills with, depending on your ability, weapon, sorry, if you get kills with obviously a light weapon, it will grant you melee energy. If you get kills with a dark type weapon, it's going to give you grenade energy. And this concept here is great because you're constantly either getting your melee back or your grenade back. In this case, you would use something like a Lost Signal or a Stasis Strand weapon in the primary, and you would constantly be getting that grenade back more frequently, so you'd be able to spam it more frequently. The whole concept around this build is to be mobile and obviously utilize whatever you can. In this case, we're just exploiting the shit out of anything that's a darkness based subclass. So don't tell Bungie, just hide that from them. But you get my point. This is still going to be a very dominant build, and as a lot of people do obviously enjoy using the Arc Buddy, it's great for easy survivability. Even with the changes coming to Edge of Fate, this should be a very dominant build still to this day and going forward. Hopefully they can make other exotics that work great with Prismatic, aside from obviously hit one tricks like this, because it would be lovely to make more builds around these sort of build concepts. Otherwise, I hope you guys do enjoy the video. I hope you guys obviously consider subscribing to support the channel. And until then, enjoy Edge of Fate, enjoy what it has to offer. I'll probably be making some content on Edge of Fate, whether it be good or bad. I actually would just want to see how it goes. Till then, yeah, peace out, enjoy your day, night, afternoon, wherever the fuck you are. Yep, peace, enjoy.